like to, well, first of all, I'm Bob Hayworth, the chairperson, and I'd like to bring this meeting to order. And first of all, confirm that the required Kansas Open Meetings Act notifications were met.
Yes.
Correct? All right. And then you have noted all the people in attendance, and we have name tags here to help everybody out that's seeing it on TV, then also here with any questions. But with that in mind, we've got several new people. I know I haven't been able to attend a meeting for a little while. I've been out of town. So I would like to begin, before we get into it too much with the approval of minutes, et cetera, if everybody just say a little bit about themselves. And Sarah, you can start.
Hi, my name is Sarah.
You need to have a mic.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. Okay. Hello, my name is Sarah Keck, and this is my 4th year with the department as the Arts Education Coordinator, so I help coordinate the Arts Infusion program and entertainment for the festival.
One thing that you could say before just your name, say maybe why you're interested in being on this commission. You know, what interests you in art or whatever. Just to get to know a little bit about yourselves.
All right. Hi, my name is Katie Bowler. This is my first meeting in attendance. I decided to join this commission because I'm on band, jazz band, and a lot of other music-related things, and knowing that my friends play at the Smoky Hill River Festival every year, I thought it'd be a cool way to interact with the community.
Take your time. We're fine. Rearranging.
Okay, I am Kristen Hammerschmidt. I'm the Visual Arts Coordinator for Arts and Humanities.
For 1 second. I'm not getting any minutes right now. So.
Oh, that's a good point. Then I'm just going to check and check.
Happy to see that we have a large attendance today. So now we could begin, I believe, again. So, are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
Me?
Go ahead.
Megan Ayers. I've been on the commission for, I think, just over a year, and I've been in the community for approximately 15 years. I have an interest in art and the kind of, development of that and the growth of that here in this community, and I like to support it any way that I can.
My name's Tanner Colvin. I'm into my 2nd year on the commission. Photographer here in town. Just kind of echo Megan's words there, just saying that just try to support art and artists in Salina.
I'm Pat Alduel. I apologize for being slightly late. And I've been on the commission, I think I'm in the 3rd year or so now, and really enjoy it. Retired clergy, and live here in Salina.
Brad Anderson, Executive Director since 2011, and lifelong Salina resident.
Bob Hayworth. I am retired builder. I own my own company, and I'm interested in the arts quite a bit. Since my retirement, I've been involved in making modern sculptures and furniture and modern furniture, clocks, etc. Just all kinds of things. So I'm very much interested in arts.
Douglas Bailey. I'm a retired architect, born and raised in Kansas, but gone for about 45 years. It means I'm really old. Moved back to Kansas about 3 years ago, and I sort of fundamentally believe that art is life, so of course it was natural to ask to be on this commission.
My name is Elijah Castro. I'm a senior at Salina South High School. I've been on the commission for a few months now, and I requested to be on the commission for, I just am a big proponent of the arts and spreading it within the community.
Dean Klenda. I've been on the commission for maybe a year. I filled an unexpired term. I have received funds in the past, some grants to help me fund making music and music art accessible, and I just want to continue to help do that.
I'm Amy Adams. I have been on the commission for a little over a year. I grew up in Salina attending the Smoky Hill River Festival. It's one of my core memories. And I have 2 kids who are very interested in the arts, so I thought this would be a great fit for me.
My name is Andrew Baker. I teach at Kansas Wesleyan University. I've been on this committee for now just a few months, and always interested in the arts, love it, and that's why I'm on this committee.
Hi, I'm Anna Pauscher-Morowitz. I'm the Operations and Development Manager, staff here at Salina Arts and Humanities, and I'm responsible for our operations, working with our administrative team as well as our fundraising for the Smoky Hill River Festival.
Oh, I thought I was off the hook. You guys shuffled me around.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Crystal Hammerschmidt. I'm the Visual Arts Coordinator for Arts and Humanities. And since Sarah said 4 years, I came right after her, so this is my 4th season. And yeah, I got to do a fun Arts Infusion today, which Sarah's the head of that program, so I got to spend the day with 8th graders today talking about public art. So I'm surprised I'm not a puddle of goo.
All right, before we go to the next step, just want to remind everybody to try to talk into the mic when you do want to talk. That helps things out for everybody else that's listening. So we'll just begin by, we'll go ahead and begin by see if everybody's had a chance to look over the minutes from the last meeting and if there's any discussion on those minutes. Hearing no discussion, I would like to have a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes as posted.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous. All right. Next we'll go into new business, staff reports.
Commissioners have any questions of staff regarding items that are on the report? Quite a bit of information.
There's a lot of
the museum and Arts and Humanities this month.
I'd like to hear a little bit about the culture crawl, how it went, how many students were involved, just, a little
Yeah, I would
snippet
be
about
happy
it.
to. So for those unfamiliar, the Culture Crawl event is for 7th grade students from Lakewood Middle School and Salina South Middle School. We collaborate with about a dozen different cultural entities with Salina Arts and Humanities as a part of that, along with the Smoky Hill Museum. And the students rotate to different education stations throughout the event. Usually we do Lakewood on one day and they split into small groups. And then on the other day we do Salina South Middle. We had beautiful weather on Wednesday when Lakewood was scheduled. Overall it was a great day. I think we had around 200 students. Yeah, it was a good day overall. And then on Friday, we had some inclement weather, and we were not able to find a rescheduled date that works for everyone, so we will have to cancel Salina South for this year. So we were very sad about that, but hopefully we can get everybody back in for 2026.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or things that you'd like to hear about in staff reports?
I would like to mention, timing-wise, it didn't get into staff reports, but installation of our 2024 People's Choice sculpture, Going Home, has been installed. It made it to the park this Saturday before Veterans Day, so we missed our Memorial Day, but we got it in there. We've had some really good response, I think, via social media. And people coming in and appreciating that space. So I think it's been a popular addition, and it's nice to have that one completed. We also received our signs from Greenbelt for the Kansas Promise over at Lakewood. So parks, they may have gotten installed today, but I would say here within a few days that signage should be complete. So if you guys haven't seen either of those, I really encourage you to go check those out. It's nice to have those kind of wrapping up for the season. So.
Other people would like to say something.
I guess you updated staff yesterday, and I didn't think about, this was already out, but we had a relatively quick opportunity come up from some private citizens who had an interest in a new program for next year in October involving a dance company from Kansas City, and reaching out to our medical community that provides care for cancer patients and for cancer patients. We wrote a $10,000 grant request to the Greater Salina Community Foundation in about 6 or 7 days, and got that in by the November 15th deadline. We'll hear in December whether that grant was awarded. It represents about a little less than 25% of the overall budget. The rest will be earned revenue and private contributions. And so we'll update the commission in January, but it's possible that before your next meeting, you'll see a press announcement from the Community Foundation that grants have been awarded, and thought it'd be good for you to know. We'll update the commission. I mean, I believe it'll be successful, but we'll update the commission in how we're engaging with the community and reaching out in this area of arts and healing, because part of the grant is also designed to have some seed money for future arts and healing programs. And so this isn't a one-off, one-time production. It's a way of how do we integrate, and some of our cultural institutions in Salina, the Art Center, Theater Salina, even the Symphony, have done programs like that, as has the zoo, to integrate creative and cultural experiences with people that have emotional and or physical challenges, so or health challenges. And so it's a bold move, and I'm excited to hear whether the Community Foundation feels the same way.
Any comments that the staff would like to make? Any additional comments? Anything here? Or any of the commission? No? All right. Brad, would you want to just go ahead and go highlights for 2025?
Yes, and I'm going to apologize in advance. I've had some family issues with a family member and some health things, so I've been out of the office for the last few days. Normally, I would have highlights of your minutes from the last year of things that you voted on, approved, provided feedback for, and listed those as part of the accomplishments for the year. I don't have them. So we'll look at those in the January meeting. More importantly, well, and actually it's the next item, but I might take a minute so that Allie can record it. If there are particular highlights of something, those of you especially who've been on for the entire year, that you participated in, that you were proud of, that you felt good about, that you're glad that the commission had a chance to weigh in on that. If you want to offer that up now, we'll make sure to draw our attention to that as we're going through the last year's minutes on those action items that you've addressed. So I'll open it up to you all to see if there are items that you want to make sure are included in highlights. as a reminder, that you make recommendations and/or discuss based on the staff list that we provide of the legacy awards for the River Festival program. I think that obviously you serve as a supporting body or a final body before it goes to the City Commission for the new public art that is accepted and approved for the public collection. So there are those kinds of operational things that you've been involved with, but I know there was some work you and the subcommittee did over the last year or so, that if there are highlights in terms of how we've taken steps to improve accessibility or access to our programs or something, that topic came up a few times over the last year. So if there are any of those areas, it's just...
I just mentioned that I appreciated being able to provide feedback for the 50th anniversary of Smoky Hill River Festival, the artwork related to that, and helping with the button activity to help promote that event.
Great. Yeah, thanks for your help with that.
It was a lot of fun.
Andrew, too.
Yeah, oh, good. Okay.
Well, I would say also I've appreciated the opportunity to have representatives from other community agencies visit with us at our meetings, and I think that's a healthy thing that I hope we continue to do, to foster that kind of collaboration, and also just our knowledge of the community, so that we have some better sense of what things we might do.
Right. Are there particular outcomes of that, or an experience in that learning or seeing that stuck with you more than others? I'm putting you on the spot, but
yeah.
just...
Well, not so much in particular, although I remember, I don't remember who it was that talked to us about it, but worked with women in transition kinds of experiences and art therapy possibilities there.
Yeah.
I think there was also, I forget who it was, but there was one of them that came in that I think they learned about the Families First program and more accessibility into the Smoky Hill River Festival and things like that. So while we learned something, we were also able to kind of open doors for them as well.
Speak to that. Pat, I believe the one you were referencing was Central Kansas Mental Health.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And I think it was Kelly Mowbray with the Salina Adult Education Center that, we had already been working with them a little bit, but bringing them in also instigated some more collaborations with Festival Families First, but also with them being the designee for, I forget the name of the program with the festival, the purchase partner. Thank you. So that one has resulted in a number of different collaborations. Also, our participation in a project of theirs to support adult education. So there is, some extended benefits beyond the conversations that happen in this room. And I'd hope, too, that extends to you all, too, not only in your awareness, but also in, considerations of your position as a commissioner, but also your other influence in the community.
It would be nice to explain to some of the newer people, do you have information on some of the names for the people that did show up during this last year, somewhere here that in our room right now? For the people that weren't, because,
The ones who weren't, just as a point of reference, and I think Anna coordinated most of those, but if your booklet has the last year minutes, you'll have notes from who those people are. So if Anna mentions a name and it's of interest to you to learn a little bit more, you'll have an opportunity to see that.
Also, to give everybody an idea that hasn't been on the commission that much too, on what guests have been here, possibly even make suggestions for guests to come.
Right.
Not just rely on the staff, but if people within the commission think it might be interesting to hear from somebody, if they could bring that up to, you know, Brad or someone here also, anybody with the staff, so that we'd actually, you know, have that more often, because that's the first thing I looked for the minutes today. I was thinking, well, we have a short agenda. I wish we would have had a speaker here today. You know, I mean, seriously, I thought that right away when I read, you know, what minutes we're gonna do today. So it's up to us as a commission also, to where I believe that, you know, we could make suggestions too. And I think this could really help us grow as a person and also as a commission.
Well, and I might back up even a little further and note, you all at your, I'm jumping ahead just a little bit with this, but for context in the conversation, at your chairs today, you have a printout of the annual report from last year, where we listed accomplishments of 24 and then goals for 25. And so it's a good example of those accomplishments that Brad is looking to highlight and that you'll confirm next meeting in January. But also, as we move forward for the conversations, for goals, the last goal on this sheet is continued discussions around equitable access to the arts and humanities through program and services provided by the department. And so that goal is where a subcommittee, and Patricia and Tanner are the two that have participated in that. It was also Alicia who was turned off at this point. So if we wanted to, you know, consider continuation of that, that's a thing for you to consider as we move the conversation forward. And maybe, you know, either continuing with the subcommittee or inviting new members into a subcommittee, or just moving forward with community conversations. So that's some more background to the context. I went back through the last few agendas to see who we had. We started with Kelly Mowbray with the Salina Adult Education Center. Then we had Independent Connection. I don't have a name on that one. I think it was Christy. And then we had Reverend Alan Smith with St. John's Missionary Baptist and the NAACP. Next we had Nikki C, I think, with Central Kansas Mental Health. And then Adrienne Allen joined us. That one was a little different because it was an arts perspective, but it was also, I think, enlightening to hear how another arts organization is considering access. And I think that's the last one that we have had this year. We had invitations out for Trell with OCCK, and scheduling wise, that was a challenge. So that's one. If we did continue these, we could invite OCCK back. And there's a number of other organizations that would be great to hear from as well if we wanted to continue.
Thank you. Anyone else have something to add, or Brad?
No, I'd just say be ready, commissioners, in the January meeting. If something comes to mind in advance, you don't have to wait for the meeting. If you want to send either Amanda or myself an email that said, hey, don't forget if you're adding accomplishments, this was, don't send it to everyone. I don't want to violate an open meeting regulation, but you can send it individually to me, and then I can include any of those individual ideas for all of you to consider in January. Okay?
All right. Any other new business?
Well, the second half of this, the brainstorming.
That's what I was wondering when you
Yeah, that's
did that a little bit.
Well, we touched on it, but
Yeah.
we're going to fill some of your meeting today with this. And I didn't ask everyone to bring a copy of the State of the Arts report, but just as some seed, in the State of the Art report towards the end, and this was our department's report, not yours, but just as a reminder, the challenges and opportunities, not just for here, but for other arts organizations in the community. And we do serve as an advocate for arts programs and agencies, as well as individual artists and just the arts in general, and education and public art and those programs. What we listed as some challenges coming up in the year ahead or opportunities include long-term financial stability, especially for smaller organizations. How do we continue to foster a spirit of philanthropy in the community for people to support cultural organizations while their dollars are divided between many different places? The second, we just talked about a little bit in terms of what you started a few years ago and that kind of got some legs, especially in this last year, with inclusivity and outreach and new connections and making the arts accessible. But expanding outreach and program diversity requires a strategic investment. Getting the necessary resources of time or of finances or transportation or locations, all of that has an influence on how somebody can access the arts. And so as we both add value, relevance, and opportunity for people to personally experience the arts, we'll be relying on you in the year ahead, and the years ahead, to be able to say, hey, what can we do to help improve arts opportunities and programs for West Salina, for North Salina? It's this group that suggested a few years ago that South Salina is fairly sparse in public art compared to some of the other areas, and so that input has helped guide some of the CAD discussions as new objects become available or spaces to say, how can we be more intentional about making sure that we're interrupting everyone's life with art. So the third one is regional collaborations, and that's more of an organizational thing, but how we go beyond the borders of the community. The last one is one that I suppose we could have given a little bit in the staff report, but I can't remember when the deadline is now for the, I think it's another week or 10 days before the RFPs for a cultural plan are due. We've sent out, I think, 30 or maybe 40 plus through the city clerk's office, requests for qualifications and proposals by cultural planning firms from across the country and Kansas. The city has set aside a certain amount of money for strategic planning, not just for arts and humanities, but for our entire community. I'm telling you this because this body will be involved throughout 2026 in this process. It might be helping raise awareness when there's public listening sessions. It might be encouraging people to fill out surveys when those are launched. It might be being in small groups or helping be a liaison to a small group so that people can talk about their perceptions of this place or of the arts in general without one of the paid staff being there. Oftentimes having a commissioner as opposed to a paid staff of arts and humanities, people may be more willing to speak openly. We want this to be an open and a clear process. We won't know exactly how that works until a firm is hired, but my assumption is that by January, early January, we will have someone contracted and a timeline for their work to be completed over the following 9 to 10 months with a final report presented to the City Commission towards the end of 2026 to be adopted or implemented beginning in 2027. And that will be at least a 5-year strategic plan for the cultural arts in Salina. To ramble on just a little bit more, I was involved in 1992 with the first plan. And then the second one, I was on the steering committee, and that was about a 70-member group from across the community to help guide that 1.5 year long process. The amount of things that have changed and what's happening now as a reflection of what wasn't happening before the last cultural plan. I stand firmly on this being a really good investment, and your involvement in the year ahead of identifying and supporting recommended goals, needs, operationalizing things in a way that help not only the festival or arts and humanities or our specific programs, but the community as a whole is going to be really important. This is a chance that you have to be directly involved in the next 10 or 15 years of this community. And since our last cultural plan, we have a revitalized downtown. We have almost $1 billion worth of economic development and investment in the community citywide, from the airport authority to the greater downtown. And we have 500 more housing units than we had back then. We have Sculpture Tour. We have the Boom Mural Festival. We're on the verge of a revitalized riverway with new trails. We have new businesses, restaurants, and other things downtown that hadn't been invented yet in 2009. And so we're in a whole brand new community at the same time that economic disparity in our community is widening. And so I think this is a critical time that we all have to be around the table to kind of say, okay, how do we make a positive difference here and increase the relevance of the arts in the community, and for now and well into the future. So I'll get off my soapbox, but this is an important thing that I'll expect our staff and this commission to want to be involved with as it goes forward. So as we open it up to talk about brainstorming some goals for the year ahead, I'm going to assume that somewhere in there that you're going to want to discuss, yes, we want to be active participants in the cultural planning for the community. And we'll be asking the other culturals, their board members, their leadership, their staff, individual artists across the community, all to be involved. But that is going to be a fairly significant commitment, and so I think it's important you're aware of that before you think of 6 other things you'd like to do, because you're going to be busier in the year ahead with that. So
It's part of volunteering.
it is.
Yeah, good.
So what ideas come to mind in terms of goals, or where you'd like to see the work of this body, or something that has started that you either want to continue or refine or grow, or something that has been on your mind and you want to throw out as something for your peers to discuss today. And again, we'll write some of these down. We're going to look again in January, because I think they're due either at the end of January or February to go to the City Commission.
I'm going to jump in really quick, and just as a reminder, since we recently invested in the Public Art Archive, both with CAD and this group, I think marketing and advocacy for that platform, is that something we've talked about. I know since I've been on staff, how to access that. It's going to be a huge resource once we start populating that, a huge resource for staff, but in the general public, really asking this group to advocate and really educate yourselves and participate on that platform so you understand how it works. So when you're sharing that, it's not just about sharing a link. You can really help guide people in the general public. I think it's going to take a lot, and as we have invested in this, it's going to take a lot more than just our staff to make sure people understand that and this isn't just the city of Salina anymore. It is really capturing and helping people to navigate our entire collection. So we won't just be talking about the downtown as things grow. So, and again, just like the cultural plan, we don't know what that advocacy maybe looks like right now, but that's definitely going to be something we'll put to this group. So.
And to kind of piggyback on that, so a lot of people, I don't like that my tax dollars are going towards this. Well, if you look at, most people in this room know that the murals or the sculpture tour is privately funded, but getting that education to people so that they might give that an actual chance instead of just saying, I don't like it, that's my tax dollars, and giving them the information to know, we purchase one a year that you get to vote on, so go be involved, and to help with education of the funds and hopefully getting more people to be interested when they give it. They understand that it's not necessarily just their tax dollars, that they have input, they get to decide, and to go view those things because maybe they give it a fairer chance. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good point, and how we build those educational pieces in. You know, a lot of it is if people care to seek it out, we can't force it. But also for this group, and especially as new people come onto the commission, thinking about moving into 2026, it might be a good idea. I could provide some information, and maybe we take a month to kind of catch everybody up to speed on a lot of these programs, how they're working. I know some of those questions came up a couple months in CAD to clarify, like, where is the funding coming for a specific project? So a lot of you are hearing these names of programs and kind of understand sort of how they're working, but there may be some gaps in your understanding. So if that's something that this commission would like, I think giving a little presentation and kind of laying out the finances, because you guys are the advocates. So I don't necessarily want to volunteer for that, maybe right for January, but if that would be nice, you know, and even just putting together an outline so you guys kind of have some talking points as the commission out in the community, we can work on that.
Well, for accessibility and access for the sculpture tour, you said if we could have Mike maybe come here and speak to us briefly for a while on it. I mean, my daughter came in from Kansas City with her kids. We went around town, did the sculpture tour, and we ran into 3 different groups of people that were just looking around, and they didn't know where to go to get the little forms, you know, at the walkways. So, you know, the grandkids thought they were pretty important, so they went, you know, told them where it was and all that. Then we ran into those people, you know, as we were walking around, because we're going at different paces.
Yeah.
But accessibility, knowledge, you know, where it's from, how it's doing. I mean, I'm sure Mike has some things that he may say, hey, you know, with the commission, consider something this direction, and have us, you know, brainstorm it if it's something that we might want to participate. Trying to get more accessibility for all kinds of people and more knowledge about it.
Well, and I'll do a little plug, because I think I see everybody's got a sculpture tour ballot at their spot. We are coming towards the end of the year. You can still vote if you have not cast your vote for People's Choice until December 31st. When it comes to making choices, that is one of the easiest ways to get yourself out into the community and have some participation by just looking at art and choosing what's important to you without like feeling the pressure of anybody else's aesthetics or what their love is. You can get out there. It's a great way to like bring your family and your friends and advocate for, you know, our cultural sector, honestly. So you've got about 5 weeks left to get out there and cast your vote. So.
And I know that on a personal experience, when I've talked to people about sculpture tour, and that, like, you know, you get to vote and pick and how that works out, it's made people a lot more happy about doing it. And a couple have said, oh, I should go do that. And they went to go to go look and see. Well, they told me they did. I didn't follow them, but they said they were going to. So I think helping people understand that is a big part of getting public opinion to be more happy with art and enjoy what's available.
Yeah, community has voice, and you guys can help share that, so people feel like it's not just us kind of secluded in a meeting or just a staff making all the decisions. So
Demystifying the process.
yes.
Well, I might, just to encourage you, that sometimes when you say strategic plan or cultural plan or goals, everybody, rolls their eyes or says, well, it's just gonna be a report on a shelf. But when we started when the big ideas first started, the citizens of Salina were asked a question: do you value the role the arts play in your lives? And the affirmative answers to that were at about 57%. And people go, oh, well, that's not bad, more than half, good, nice job, you're an arts town. That you'd expect that. Anybody want to take a guess at what the national average was that year? 35, okay. Well, audience participation?
40.
40, okay.
We'll Jeopardy this.
You weren't born, 2009.
All right, I'll take the shot above that then.
Okay.
What's the number above, you said 30?
57% was what we rated.
All right, I'll say 70.
Okay. The national average that year, depending on the geography, was between 88 and 92%. We were well below the national average on the public's perception of art. And if you read the wrong journals or the wrong blogs, you might think that still exists, but I think 4 years ago or so, or no, 6 years ago, we did a follow-up question, the exact same question, to about 550 citizens. Were you here, Anna, when we?
Is that when Crystal did it?
We did a
We
public
did one
art
about
survey.
do you see your
Yeah.
interest reflected in the public art? But this was the exact same question from Americans for the Arts and from our cultural plan. And we were up to about 87% to the positive. And that was by taking specific objectives of our strategic plan and implementing them over about an 8-year period. And by doing that, we moved that needle back up to about where the national average was. So when you have a roadmap, when you have a plan, when you identify a goal and then stay focused on it and not just listen to the negative voices, we're in a much better place than we were, but I think we can even get higher, so.
So overall nationally, about 80% of 88% of people think arts are important in their community.
Yes, and 92%, I think, in the last survey, believed that arts education were important for children. You know, that they, even if they didn't like art themselves, they thought their kids ought to have it. And so the positive role of arts in education has consistently tracked higher than art in an individual's life, but only by about 4 points.
Well, that's encouraging.
It is encouraging.
I would like to see more public policy aimed in that direction.
Absolutely, and funding. The USD 305 in the last 6 or 7 years has cut the 4th grade orchestra strings program, and so kids aren't starting until a slightly later age. They're behind when it comes time for youth symphony and other areas, and they have one strings teacher for half of the elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school. One orchestra teacher. And the loss of that is having an impact on the number of students who are now participating in preparatory orchestras for the Salina Symphony, or the number of people interested in having the ability to have private music lessons to support continued growth in that area. And so there are areas of our community that I think, as we get into our strategic plan, that we're going to say we need to be more intentional about this and value this as much as another business class, or another finance class, or another sports team. That maybe it's time to to focus on where a good return on investment is made, and higher performance scores, better retention rates in the schools with those that are involved in this music and theater, especially comprehensive reading and math scores go up strongly for those students who are involved in those areas. So.
Well, that actually kind of leads into something that I was just getting ready to suggest. When we first moved back to Salina 2 or 3 years ago, I was very impressed by live music at Campbell Park, at City Lights. To a lot of people, they put that in a category where maybe they don't think about it as arts, but live music, performance, dance is a whole nother area that you can interact with people in this community that maybe you wouldn't walk down the street and go, oh, I love the art in Salina because I see the sculpture on the street. Instead, if they can sit in the plaza and hear some good music and drink a beer, that's good art. I mean, and I think it is.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this group would be able to help find more opportunities for live performance in the community, if that's something that would fall within this group.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating. Being new, I don't really know, and I shouldn't even open my mouth, but.
No, I think there is plenty of room for that. Some of it is just being an advocate and raising awareness when you meet a musician that says, I really don't have any place to play.
Yeah.
Say, well, there are people in town who can help identify for you where there are folks interested, or do you know how to market yourself as a musician? You know, do you know what kind of contract model or draft to use to help make sure that you're adequately paid for your time? Or would you like $100 of seed money to busk on Santa Fe on a Friday night to try a new thing of just playing unplugged on the street for donations, and we'll supply the first $100 to encourage you to put art in front of somebody. So, there's so much need that I think for both this group to be able to identify or target what are some of those areas like accessibility. You know, saying let's pick some areas of accessibility that we can work on. You know, if you have some strong ideas that there's a collective interest in, you know, majority of it saying, yeah, I could get on board with that, then our staff is here to help support that, how we can to better equip you to be advocates and to be connectors in the community. What about something that we're not doing at all? You know, I mean, is there something that, you know, you hear a lot from our staff of what we do, but what about something that's of interest to you that we're not doing, you know, or that you don't see in the community that you think is a desert?
I think if we go back to marketing, I think arts in Salina, if you're an artist, you know where to look for those things. If you're not, you don't know where to look for those things. Several people have said to me that they didn't know about Sculpture Tour, things like that. So, and this would be more of a staff thing than a commission thing, but looking outside of the box on ways to advertise on things. I always kind of default to Facebook ads. They're very cheap. You know, you can geo-target places, things like that, but, and I know you guys do some of that, but maybe encouraging other art entities to be involved with that as well, and a group effort to look at how First Friday's marketed or busking downtown is marketed, things like that. Just encouraging other arts organizations in town to think outside of the box. We can do that.
Would that involve you and 10 other commissioners and student liaisons doing TikTok videos for us?
As long as it's
Okay.
the student liaisons doing the TikTok, I'll film it.
Oh, come on, we want to see your dance
No. Yeah, but no, I mean, I think just, I'm not saying we need to foot that or you guys need to foot that, but I do hear a lot of people saying I didn't know about that. And to Crystal's point, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, type of thing. But I do think that maybe if we're talking about outside the box, looking at how to market things, just to get people to come to events and things like that.
So we do the arts infusion with the youth of the schools. Is there a way to do that with an older population to some extent? I don't know if you pick the senior citizens, because they usually have agencies that have or where you target that age range, but is that a program you're already doing the work for the youth, can you replicate that to an older market? Or age
I
group?
think any of that's possible. Some of it may come back to a crossover of making sure the information is there and/or accessibility. The Art Center has children and adult classes outside the school. The Salina Symphony has different learning opportunities. The Stiefel Theater has a music school with both group and trying to find a way to work with the Mike Finnegan School of Music as part of theirs. Theater Salina, has a wide variety of classes. So, and the library the class programs, and I don't know if there's a new name, but the library has a catalog full of opportunities like introductory photography or, coding or a language or writing and writers groups. But if you don't know where those are, trying to get all of that under one umbrella and make sure that those who would love to do it but can't afford it can get there. Those are some things I hope that we can be looking at both as an agency but also collectively with the other cultural directors too. Say, how do we do this better?
And I think that kind of speaks to one of the problems that we face in this community generally is that we no longer have a centralized place where we're getting information. And I think even if we were to time warp and go back to the days when the Journal was at its most robust as far as their reporting goes, people still would be looking to Facebook or all these other organizations that have popped up. And so how do we solve for that? And I don't have an answer, but I just wish there was a way that we could celebrate those of us in the community that are contributing to the arts, celebrate our student artists and musicians and dancers. They don't get a lot of places highlighted community-wide now anymore. I don't know what the solution to that is though.
I had a lot of 8th grade fabulous public art ideas, so if anybody wants to contribute funding, I think all of them are ready to come knock on my office door to accomplish some things. So I think thinking about age groups, that's a question I have. I think when you participate in these activities that we know we have access to and are on our calendars, are there populations that we're missing, like age groups or whatever that is, like where are those gaps existing? Who are we hoping that shows up to the table? Because I see that certainly in the activities I'm participating in. It feels like there's a core group of people who continually show up. I think Andrew and I talked about this a little bit with Lori of like, how do we do it? How do we get the message out there? And it feels really challenging. And I think there are some age groups that are just not going to show up, but I'd like to address that in our conversations, like who are the people that aren't at the table, aren't showing up, and why? We can put it out there, but there may be something else. And if we're talking about like an elder population, this came from a community potluck where we didn't have a lot of those folks show up, and people said, well, they can't get here, transportation. So I think with our guest speakers and identifying those resources, we're going to have to make some of those connections, not just like identifying the group, but I see core people showing up all the time and taking advantage of our resources and our programs in the city. But whether the information's not getting there, but also how do the people physically, how are we helping them show up in those spaces, or are we showing up in their space? I think that's part of it too. I think we've talked about that within CAD and commission about we're in this space, and sometimes that may feel protected and special, but not everybody feels like this is accessible. So again, no clear answers, and it's very dynamic. But it's interesting to think about the groups of people or like age groups that we're just not seeing show up, and whether they just don't have time or don't know. I think it's something to look at.
To satisfy my curiosity, commissioners and student liaisons. I'm going to ask a question, and don't give the Sunday school answer, give the answer that comes first to mind. I'm new to town. I heard that there's a lot of arts things happening. Where would I go? Where do you go to get information about the arts? If I wanted to learn as much as I could about what's available and what there is to do, where would I go? And Andrew, you can start.
Primarily, it would be Facebook. I think a connection to individuals, that's probably the first place that I would be connected with.
Okay.
I would start with the Google search.
Google search?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say, depending on if it was a more older person, it would be the Arts Humanities website. If it was a younger-ish person, probably Facebook, but a combination of those. We don't really have a TikTok or nothing that would get the younger crowd, so.
Okay.
I would probably say the Arts and Humanities website.
Okay.
I find I'm depending more and more on the 311 newsletter that comes out every morning. There's a lot of good heads up that I had no idea was going on in the city. I wondered if we have any kind of connection or liaison there to feed them information on our upcoming events.
We do.
Okay.
I primarily do the Google searching when I travel to try to find out about arts.
Okay.
I do Google.
I did Google, and Arts and Humanities is the first one that pops up, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in addition to searching the web, I'm not on social media, so Google, but I'd probably get out and walk around and see what the hot spot is, and I'd wander into, the Art Center first and foremost down Santa Fe and see where
Let your feet do the
conversation,
walking?
where
Okay.
conversation would go.
I probably end up looking on like Instagram or asking other people or posters around town.
Okay. Our department and the 11 other culturals have spent 15 years adapting calendars, information, print, online, newspaper, everything imaginable. How many of you are aware that there's a calendar that all of the culturals are supposed to be dumping to called Salina AE? SalinaAE.com has a majority of the non-USD 305, like kids music program things, but it also has some Chamber of Commerce programming too that you can filter on and off. So there's travel and tourism, and then there's Salina Arts and Entertainment, and then you can filter that by clicking a series of things if you only want to know when the parades are, or when literature events are, or something. You can drill down on that and customize it. But no matter how much marketing we've done, most of the cultural organizations don't populate that with the same intentionality that they do their own website. So we're currently allowing Google to do that work because AI can be a little bit quicker and more intuitive than we could guess on where it goes. So anyway, that answers our question that no matter how hard we try to have a silver bullet for information, many people get it different ways. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 out of 11 or so that every other person gets it some other way. So, okay, thank you for participation.
Anything else on brainstorming? Or?
Come up to a microphone and then introduce yourself. Yeah.
Move a little in here. Nice to meet everyone. Richard Humphrey, Salina, Kansas, all-American city.
I do believe that this, if I put myself in the seats of the commissioners here, I do believe we have a good chance to link other boards that are under the city and county. So maybe as far as strategic planning goes, go check out one of their board meetings to see what cross-pollinate some ideas, or just get a relationship started to where, in that 5-10 year mark, something could develop. So I think that's my input, and it's always been rad coming to these meetings. So it's a little bit new with the TV, but put some pressure points on you. But I definitely enjoy attending other board meetings, like when Anna's at Tourist and convention. There's so many things that we can link here. So that's all I got. And 2026 is right around the corner. I'll tell you that. Thanks for all you did this year.
Well, Richie, for your benefit and for the commissioners, those that are newer, it may have been 2 years ago, but one of the directions from the commission was to say, let's try to connect intentionally with Salina Parks and Rec Board, because we have a natural connection in how we already work together as two separate departments. Our difficulty is that they meet at exactly the same time this body does. So if that is an item that would be of interest of commissioners and you express that, then we can talk to our technology folks and to the leadership of the Salina Parks and Rec Board and maybe do a joint meeting sometime. Utilize the same time, but find a facility that would accommodate both bodies, and be able to have some agenda items to discuss collectively as Parks and Rec Advisory Board in this body. So
I think that would be.
No, I mean, that can be one of the goals. I mean, if that's part of the direction that it had been given before, but we kind of moved to the equity side of things more so than the other. But I may be going back about 2 years from.
I know we were talking about it when I first came on.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I think it was 2 years ago, at least.
Yeah. 2 to 3. Yeah.
I do think that would be a really natural place to start. Jeff Hammond has been attending, as long as he's available, he's been attending CAD, I would say at least for the last year, because our public art program integrates in those public spaces. Like our city collection is on public city property. So Jeff has been really integral. We invited him in and he has been very diligent about participating. It really helps us kind of identify those spaces. As we can look in the community and we may see an open lot or say this is a good spot, those departments have a really good sense of what's available. And also with a parks master plan, Jeff is able to help us see what's ahead, what kind of construction upgrades are happening. So we're not making decisions that don't really align with what's already kind of on the books for the next 5 to 10 years. So I think that would be a really nice place to start and kind of understand with that, especially for public art, that city vision for the next years to come. So.
I guess finally in closing on this topic, same thing. Goals come to mind, send them my way, and we'll make sure they're on the kind of agenda or talking point list for the fine tuning we'll be doing in January. Okay. And if anybody wants to meet independently or privately and just discuss any of this more in detail, or what's been done in the past, or if I can be of assistance to direct you to some resources, I'd be happy to do that if it helps you.
All right. Any other new business that anybody would like to discuss? And then we have discussed old business, but again, is there any old business that you'd like to discuss? Or I believe Brad wanted to say a comment here also about something that everybody might have got on their phone today. Just asked him about it concerning the Cozy Inn.
This is not I'm not speaking officially for the city. The Media Relations Department put out a statement that I think has been quoted on some of the media, but a kind of a split decision, so to speak, was made regarding the cozy. The city's attorneys and the city commissioners will be probably working in a closed session to decide what to do next with this. They felt like that some of what the city did was within their jurisdiction and allowance, but part of it wasn't, that they didn't, the city violated the First Amendment free speech right of someone that was putting a commercial message on a building rather than just an artistic message. I think they'll be parsing that to say, okay, what does that mean? I think since we're probably well past any heavy litigation stuff, I'll say I'm personally disappointed a little bit because I think it opens the door for the kinds of things that end up on walls that are more advertising in nature and less art. There's kind of delineation in my training between marketing and between art, and both form and content. And that line by this decision has been blurred. And so it may change a lot for this community if all of that stands and goes through. And so we'll have to see what the final disposition is. But at this point, if you're curious about it, there probably won't be anything in terms of the city's full response until after they've had a chance to deal with their legal counsel and themselves. And then I would suspect something in the next 30 days that provides kind of a clear direction of how things are moving forward. So,
Can I make a brief comment too? I would just say that you should read the actual document and not a summary done by any particular news agency for sake of context.
yeah, it's a 35-page report that's been compressed down in, and each of the entities that has reported on it has distinctly different winners and losers messages and assumptions that don't accurately reflect the full report. So go to the source and know that you'll be provided with updates as they become available.
Read the book, skip the movie.
Yeah, definitely in this case.
Yeah.
It's a complicated decision. It's gone on a long time, and I hope that there's a final resolution for us all to be able to move forward with some clear direction in the near future.
Any other old business that someone would like to discuss?
I have a quick note. I can't remember if this was mentioned, but there is a new commission list here for you to add to your books. The new addition is Katie Roller, our new student liaison.
On other business, we have any questions or clarifications or other items? Hearing none, the next meeting will be Wednesday, January 21st at 4 p.m. And then there is a list of when our scheduled meetings will be. And obviously on location, make sure you read everything when you get it, because there is a possibility we might be able to meet somewhere, with another organization also to make that well. Anything else that anyone would like to add to the meeting before we adjourn?
I might ask, and I know Amanda's not here, but you're getting a calendar request of attending a meeting, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do the commissioners like that better?
Super easy.
Is there anybody that's difficult for? We did have a better response in terms of knowing we had a quorum further out, but if that doesn't work for you, please let us know, or I just want to remind you, let Amanda know as early as you can so that we can be assured that we have a quorum and can notify everyone in the event. And watch your email on the day of, because that is how we would notify you if we find out we don't have a quorum, and we'll let you know just as soon as we can. Okay. All right.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, is there a second to that motion that we would adjourn?
Second?
All right, it's been, motion and the second's been made. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.